So today I'm going to share my experience with you guys regarding this KTM 390 Adventure, which I bought in 2020 July. So this is it's 3 years now, and I've done 21,000 kilometers with this, and I've done some long distance touring as well as some adventure touring, and I usually do daily commutes as well. So I will be sharing my experience in this video. So before buying this bike, I had one bike in my mind, and which was Benelli TRK 502X spoke wheel version. Then the second option which I had in mind was the Interceptor 650 by RE, and the third and the last option was Kawasaki Versys 650, which I thought of buying a used bike. So these were the three options which I thought initially. Starting with the TRK 502, I thought the bike was amazing looking, and it has really good road presence. And the only thing which I lacks that bike is the weight to power ratio, which is something 250 kgs to 47 bhp, which is huge. And coming to the second bike, the Interceptor 650, I thought of buying that bike. I even took a test ride of it. But the only problem with that bike is the seat height. For me, that seat height was way too low. Even the handle height was very low. I was thinking of buying a bike which I can actually use as a daily commuter as well as for the long touring. But that didn't work out for me. And then the last option, which was the Versys 650, one of my fellow rider, he used to own one. So I had a really in-depth review from him. So I was very fond of that bike, but the only concern was the pricing, because I didn't want to expand my price bracket, which was somewhere around 2.5 lakhs to 5-6 lakhs max. So that was one issue. Another issue which I got to know from the owner, that the parts availability of Kawasaki was very low, and even a small panel, it usually used to take around 5 to 6 months to reach to the service station. So that was one major downside for that bike. Now coming to the bike, this bike, when I got to know, I was excited as well as I was skeptic, because with the experience of the KTM 390, the heating issues and all, so I was very skeptic about it. And even the engine life, because it's a high revving engine with a high compression ratio, so the engine wear and tear is really high on this bike. So I was concerned about that. But I took a test ride of this bike and I was very amazed. First of all, one thing which amazed me was the weight of this bike. It is 180 kg approximately. So it was way too light for me, considering I was an RE Classic 350 owner back then. So for me, that was a plus. The another advantage of this bike, which I actually realized right after riding it, was the pricing, in which I was getting all the instruments and all the electronics in this bike. There was no bike in the market at that time which can offer all this electronics and everything at that price point. So that was the another point for the KTM 390 Adventure. And the another concern which was there back in my mind, it was the heating issue, and even that was resolved from the KTM side by providing two radiator fans and the curved radiator which has a larger area. So that issue was resolved, so that is another plus point. Now let's talk about in depth about this bike. Starting with the tires, I did 21,000 kilometers like I said, and they're gonna still last for another 3 or 4,000 kilometers. And coming to the brakes, the front and rear brakes have good enough stopping power, and the front one is radially mounted with 320 mm of disc. And the engine is, like I said, only issue is the low end torque. Other than that, no issues found. Talking about the electronics, I faced one issue, which was the quick shifter error, which was resolved by the service station, just providing the software update. and I was good to go. Another issue which I usually feel while riding is the seat. It's not about the seat height, it's the cushioning of the seat. It's hard, it's firm. Usually on long tours your ass is going to be get numbed, so it's better to invest in some good air seats. Another issue which I face as in ergonomics wise, I am a 6 feet tall rider, so while saddling I cannot hold the tank here using my knees, as the tank is narrow from starting from this. So this is an issue with the ergonomics. The foot pegs are good enough, they are wide and they have tooth, and I like you, if you can see, then I've removed the rubbers from it. Actually it helped me by lowering the stance, the rider's triangle. Now what I did change till 21,000 kilometers, I I had to replace the chain set, and the stock one lasted 20,000 kilometers, and after that I had to change it. Another thing which I've changed on this bike after 20,000 kilometers is the front brake pads and the rear brake pads. I think that is a really good considering this powerful bike, this machine. The front and the rear suspension are good enough for me. I did not able to bottom them out, so no issues from my side. If I talk about my overall experience with the bike, then I would rate 9 out of 10. There are so many reasons for that. One of them is the good service presence in the Indian market. It has more than 300 or 400 service outlets in all over India, which is close to the Royal Enfield one. Royal Enfield has somewhere around 1100. And another thing is the spare parts availability and the prices. For example, this mirrors hardly cost 130-150 rupees, and the front wind visor frame costed me 150 or 200 mere rupees. So talking about that, the maintenance of this bike is so low, so you can actually maintain it. And my biggest reason of choosing this bike is that the price point and the remaining amount, which I thought that I am going to buy a bike worth of around 6 lakh. So the remaining amount I used to install all the accessories for the touring purposes, and it resolved my issues. So do I recommend this bike to anyone? Like I said, I'll give 9 out of 10. So I'll highly recommend this bike, not because I own one, just because I have a really good experience so far with this bike, and the maintenance cost is so low, parts availability is easy, and the service interval is good enough. The service outlets all over the India has really good presence. So all of these things makes it a really good bike for an average consumer like me and you. So this is my experience with this bike. I hope you like it. Thank you very much for watching. Please ride safe, be safe, and take care, guys. Till then, take care.